See, if you were to ask, what is Zen really about? It is clear that it's a path, it's a method, a technique of purifying the way we look at things. It is a method of getting to the ultimate of all experiences, the experience of nirvana. Enlightenment is the ultimate destination of Zen. It is not just a practice to help you settle, compromise, and accept life just the way it is. This is a major misunderstanding. Zen is anything but a passive practice. It is active involvement in every moment so deeply, so thoroughly that it transforms you. The objective of Zen is not to simply accept life the way it is. Accepting life the way it is the path, it is the method which leads to the opening of other doors. Because the process, the key that unlocks these doors are the same. It involves watchfulness. It involves a sense of acceptance, a sense of detachment. We keep coming back again and again to the idea of Zen as a way of life where you accept everything that is happening without interfering with it too much, without trying to change too much. But this has to be understood because it is a technique, a method that you can use to become enlightened. It has to be understood as to what is the main technique of Zen. If we are talking about, let's say, Tantra, we know the technique is the body. Tantra literally means using the body as a technique. When we are talking about meditation, the next question would be, what type of meditation? What is the technique? If you're sitting and closing your eyes and keeping your focus on the breath, you can call it is Buddha's Vipassana. Just witnessing your breath, dissolving your thoughts, dissolving the movement of your mind that is chaotic and confusing into the rhythmic movement of the breath to eventually drop that movement as well so that you can enter through the door of the breath to the beyond. Each and every meditation technique targets a specific part of our being. It could be the mind, it could be the body, it could be the senses, it could be action, it could be sex, it could be our knowledge centers, but it has to focus on something for that something to become an opening. Now, in Zen, the entire focus is on the mind. Mind is the seat of all happening in Zen. Now, this mind has to be understood. This mind has nothing to do with brain. It has nothing to do with just your individual thoughts. In Zen, mind is a totality. Mind is not restricted to one place or a set of activities. Because mind is a totality, Zen works. If mind were to be limited in any way, if your mind were to be restricted inside your body, then the entire discipline of Zen's would be totally nonsensical. You would not be able to make head and tail of what these Zen masters are talking about. It makes sense only because mind is a transcendental phenomenon. It's because mind is not restricted, you can get to it from many different places. Once a Zen master and a student are climbing a mountain, and the student asks the master, "Well, I've been with you for so many years. I just don't get this Zen. I've been trying to understand, I've been trying to practice. I just don't get it. What is Zen?" The master asks the student, "Do you hear that waterfall?" And the student is like, tries to listen, and he says, "No, I don't hear any waterfall." The master says, "Listen more carefully. Just stop walking. Take some time and see if you can listen to it." The student calms himself down. He uses whatever he has learned so far, and he tries to listen to the faintest of sounds. He moves away from immediate sounds and he starts focusing on subtle sounds. And eventually he hears it. Far away, there's a waterfall, very faint. And the student says, "Yes, I hear the waterfall." And the master says, "Enter Zen from there." Student gets it. It is about finding the boundaries of our senses. Zen is about seeing the mind where we normally don't see it. Usually, we see our mind immediately wherever we are in our activities, especially when there is noise, when there's confusion, when there's a lot of activity, we can see the influence of our mind. We can see how all that is affecting our mind. Although we cannot directly see the mind, we know the mind exists because we are being disturbed. Now, what the master was pointing to was something so subtle that you can live your whole life without ever going to the periphery of your senses. If the master had not reminded the student, he would have missed the sound of that waterfall completely. Now, what is he missing when he is not hearing the sound of that waterfall? He is missing the vastness of his being. He is missing that waterfall that is vibrating in his consciousness. He is missing that waterfall that is speaking to him because he's too preoccupied with something that has nothing to do with reality. His mind is filled with questions that only he has. Now, Zen is a way of drawing your attention from your mind, which is nothing but a collection of thoughts, collection of words and sentences and ideas, which don't mean anything, to real things. Why is this important? Because real things are very tasty, they are very juicy. Words are empty, dry, meaningless. And words cannot capture anything beautiful. For example, if I were to ask you to describe the smell of a rose, how would you describe it? The taste of tea. What is the difference between the smell of a rose and a jasmine? You can try all you want. You can fill a whole library with books on what smell is, what exactly happens when you're smelling, and how different a rose is from a jasmine. But for the one who has not experienced the smell of these two flowers, there is no way to even give a rough sensation of what it feels like to be smelling these flowers or tasting the tea. Zen is about smelling the flowers. Zen is about tasting the tea. Zen is about feeling your footsteps. Zen is about experiencing your breath. Life by itself is very juicy. It's filled with sensations. It's filled with depth. But you have to be available for the experience. Zen works. Zen is necessary because we are lost somewhere. We are living in our own imaginary world. They come back from the mountain and the student is still not fully satisfied. He asks the master again, "What if I had said, I am not able to hear that waterfall?" You know how students are. They create problems even when there isn't any. He asked a question, he heard the waterfall, and the master told him to enter through that. That should have been it. He should have just been quiet and started listening to subtle things that he was missing. But mind always enters. That is why he's a student and he's with a master. So he says, what if I had told you that I cannot hear the waterfall? The master says, then I would have told you to enter from there. It does not matter whether you are listening to something or not. It does not matter whether something recognizable is happening in your mind or not. Because mind is a transcendental phenomenon, because the mind is everywhere, you can enter from anywhere. That is why Zen is so profound despite being so extraordinarily simple. You can finish the entire Zen teaching in 2 lines. It is not a complicated method. It does not require you to do many things. It does not ask you to sacrifice things. It does not ask you to perform rituals. It does not ask you to change your dressing style. It does not ask you to change your hairstyle. It does not ask you to dedicate yourself to a teacher. All that traditionally we see as a part of the way you receive spiritual guidance is not required in Zen. In Zen, you are everything you need to get to you. You are the teacher, you are the student, you are the questioning, you are the answers, you are the path, you are the destination.